Before this video starts, mature content warning and spoilers for the entire Danganronpa series. Anyways, let's continue. Ever since the SMR's thoughts of Danganronpa, I have been obsessed with Danganronpa. So Danganronpa is basically a killing game where high schoolers are placed in an area and forced to kill each other. And once a body is discovered, they take this thing called a trial, where they try to figure out who did the murder, and whoever is the blackened gets a punishment. But they're called executions, so we'll just call them executions. And some executions could go from what the fuck is this to basically being in Saw, literally. And I like a lot of executions, and that's what I'm here to do today. My top 5 favorite Danganronpa executions. Here's the rules. This is only my opinion, and I would not be including executions from Despair Girls or the anime. Simply because I haven't played Despair Girls yet, and I haven't completed the anime. So there's that too. Anyways, let's just start the video. Kurumi's execution, in my opinion, is the most gruesome execution. It starts off with Kurumi running in the halls, running away from a lot of people, and the crowd overwhelmed her. But then a vine with thorns comes out from the ceiling, and Kurumi uses the vine as an escape route. But then the vines ended up leading to a path of saws, and for some reason Kurumi thinks that's better than being crowded by a lot of people. And you could just feel how bad it felt to go through those much saws. Anyways, Kurumi ends up passing those passive saws. Anyways, she sees light and she thought she finally escaped, but then that ended up being a drawing, and she falls to her death. I like this execution for the gore and the idea of it, and it also reminds me of Saw, one of my favorite horror franchises. Before going to number 4, I need to explain something. So Chiaki Nanami is my favorite character in the Danganronpa franchise. And yes, she's my number 1 waifu. I love her, I simp for her, and I'm not afraid to admit it. So you should probably know how I felt during her execution. I was suffering, but I thought it was cool too. So it starts off as a tank destroying a door, and probably that's what the FBI wants to do after they look at my search history. And for some reason, Monokuma does not know what top tier waifu is, so he tries to kill Chiaki with a tank. And when it looks like Chiaki's just accepting her fate, she sees an exit and she tries to escape with Monami. And then Pac-Man from Pixel, the movie, comes out of nowhere and tries to kill Chiaki with Monokuma. And when it seems like Chiaki finally escaped, boom! Hit in the face. It turns out only male protagonists can survive executions, not the top tier waifu. And then we get something that will ruin Tetris for me. A game of Tetris where Chiaki is in the battle area, and Monami just got squished, and we see Chiaki in the eyes right before she gets squished like a bug. I know what I just said might sound like I hate this execution, but I don't. This execution has the second best music for execution, and I like all the references like Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and Tetris. And that's why I believe Chiaki's execution should be number 4. Chiaki's execution might have made me suffer, but Gundam's execution made me cry. So it starts off in a stampede where Monokuma is leading the herd, and Gundam is right in the middle of the stampede. So he saves his hamsters and tries to do his ritual Satanism thing, but it doesn't work out and just gets hit. And then Gundam dies. And then spirits from dogs, cats, and bunnies pick up Gundam's body and take him to heaven. And this execution just made me want to cry. And I did. And that's why this is number 3. And the most saddest execution in the Danganronpa series. So we have gruesome executions. Executions that make me suffer, and sad executions. But what about satisfying executions? Well, that delivers with Junko's execution. Now, if you want to know what my least favorite Danganronpa character is Junko. I hate her sassy attitude, the fact that she killed Chiaki in real life, and the fact that if she didn't exist, Chihiro and Chiaki would have still been alive. And I was so happy that she was getting executed. And I like the fact that she was going through everyone else's executions, and she was crushed to death by Makoto's execution. This was originally going to be number 1, but then I saw number 1 on this list. But before we get to that, time to take a quick look at some honorable mentions. Leon's execution was cool, but nothing amazing. I really liked Terra's execution music, but the execution itself was fine. I considered putting Kaede's execution on the list, but I had much more to say about Kurumi's execution than Kaede's. Gonta's execution was alright. I originally did not like Mondo's execution, but now it's starting to grow on me. Blastoff or Pekko's execution would have been on this list if I didn't see number 1. Anyways, on to number 1. As a person who likes Godzilla, this answer should be obvious. And what is it? Well, it's Korekiyo's execution. Fun fact, Korekiyo actually shares the same birthday with me, but that's off topic. Anyways, I love this execution, and this execution has the best execution music I have ever heard. Let me show you. Okay, sorry, let's get back to the video. So it starts off as Monotaro and Monofini spin Korekiyo so he could get tied up. And then they drop him into a pot of water, but there's a fire underneath the pot. And so the Mono comes aside to make the fire bigger, and Mono then sacrifices himself to try to save Korekiyo, but he failed horribly. And then Korekiyo has been consumed by the lava and dies. But then his spirit went up to the sky and then sees his fiancée, aka his sister. It's weird, I know. But then she rejects him by spraying holy water with Monokuma onto Korekiyo. And then Korekiyo's spirit has been perished. The reason why this is number 1 is for the creativity and the music. And how Monokuma entered the execution was super hilarious. And I love this execution so much. Sorry if I sound dead in this video because I'm recording this at 1 in the morning. But don't worry, my next video is going to be on endings. That's all folks, and bye.